The Republican National Committee may soon be free to join in on the voter fraud debate. It's been more than 3 decades since they've been able to engage in any discussion surrounding that issue. Alex Miller's digging into that tonight, looking at a possible change, a decision that could come early as next week.
As early as Friday. The RNC has been under what's called a consent decree for the last 3 decades, and it's set to expire on Friday. And I talked to our partners at Politico about what this could mean for the committee.
It's a topic we heard quite a bit on the campaign trail, voter integrity.
And we can't lose an election because of you know what I'm talking about. So go and vote and then go check out areas because a lot of bad things happen.
Then candidate Trump discussed it throughout the 2016 campaign and again after the election, even putting together a presidential commission to look into illegal voting. But the Republican National Committee has remained silent. That's because they've been under a federal court order for more than 35 years, limiting their ability to discuss election fraud. It all dates back to actions taken in New Jersey during the early 80s.
Sending armed but off-duty police officers to polling places as part of what was, alleged to be an anti-voter fraud effort, but struck many people as more of a voter intimidation effort.
The RNC also put up posters and sent mailings to minority neighborhoods reminding people of consequences for violating election laws. Politico's Josh Gerstein says a judge could decide as soon as Friday whether to allow the party to delve into this racially charged issue.
The Republican National Committee would be free really for the first time in 2 generations to start to engage in more active work in areas of voter fraud.
But Democrats are hoping to keep the court order in effect, in part because of the 2016 election. They say President Trump's actions on the campaign trail amounted to violating the order. Gerstein says it may be hard to prove.
This consent decree has never applied to most of the state political parties, the state Republican parties, so it was totally legitimate for Republicans to be at the polls doing poll watching activities if they were answering to the state party or even to Donald Trump's presidential campaign.
Former RNC Chairman Michael Steele also expressed concern to Gerstein, saying in part, quote, "I think there should be genuine concern about how the president's rhetoric in the past, and no doubt in the future, could continue to have negative impacts on the party's ability to get beyond the decree."
He doesn't want to see the party returning to anything that even has the flavor of some of the activities that led to this order being put in place 35 years ago. He thinks it's generally been a mistake for Republicans across the country to have put so much focus on voter fraud activities.
Because while it's legal to patrol polling places, the RNC could face another optics problem if it's perceived they're once again targeting minority groups.
Alex, something that jumps out to me right away is I think in the last few days we've seen WAPO, New York Times, a few others say that the president's been talking about behind the scenes some of his conspiracy theories, including, birtherism and stuff. But one of them is that he really does say over and over that he won the popular vote. It was because of voter fraud, 2-3 million people. That's just not true. There's no evidence for it.
Well, and that's what Michael Steele, one of his concerns is that, the president says 3 to 5 million people voted illegally, and that he's concerned that, if this decree is lifted and it's not handled properly, that those kinds of things will start to flow into the RNC.
Yeah, and one of the women, she went in to vote for Trump twice because she wanted to make sure that everyone else's fraudulent vote didn't count more than hers. Come on. All right. Let's move on here. Also talking about some breaking news in the last day, dealing with Sean Spicer.
Yeah, so the original Politico article that Josh wrote talked a little bit about this specific incident, and today a federal judge came forward. So basically what happened was the federal judge ruled that the DNC can depose Sean Spicer about an event that happened on election night. So basically it's kind of hard because they're all kind of intertwined. Inside Trump Tower there was a floor that the RNC was not allowed to go to because the Trump campaign was allowed to engage in these kind of polling check-ins, but the RNC was not because of this decree. And a number of sources came forward to Politico and said Sean Spicer was on this floor on election night, which he obviously was not supposed to be. So now a federal judge says that the DNC can depose Sean Spicer, but they cannot look specifically into whether the RNC as a whole violated the decree.
Because people know Spicer as being the press secretary, but at the time he was at the RNC.
Exactly, and same thing with Reince Priebus. He was at the RNC before that as well.
Interesting. Alex, thank you.